Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Donny Lind Show, presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. My name is Adam Pohl. Well, we've got a great program ahead for you as we look back at the last week of Mount St. Mary's basketball. We'll also look forward with a coach to the upcoming week as the Mount will host St. Peter's Friday at 7 and then welcome Siena to town Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Get those tickets at mountathletics.com. We also have a great feature interview with Mount St. Mary's sophomore A.K. Kébé. The Donny Lind Show starts now. Welcome back to the Donny Lind Show, presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. My name is Adam Pohl, joined now by the Mount coach, Coach Lind. Coach, we are now in the thick of it, are we not? I mean, it comes so quickly. And for you guys, we haven't even talked this through, but basically with the conference tournament moving up a little bit, that made this week of kind of rejoining MAC play a week in which you played 3 games in 1 week. And now all of a sudden it feels like we just got going and you're a quarter of the way through your MAC schedule.
Yeah, no, it's been, they've come fast and furious, and, there's so many good teams in this league and so many different styles, and, there's not a lot of time to prepare and practice, obviously coming right off of Christmas break and giving the guys some time to get away and refresh. And so, we're in the same boat everybody is, right? Everybody in the league is playing each other and playing good teams and having to prepare quick. So, it's certainly a fun time of year. Everybody loves conference play, and everybody loves the competition and the intensity that those games bring.
You had a lot of injuries early in the season, and now you're, for the most part, healthy. But it is, knock on wood is right. It's important, obviously, to find these rotations. A lot of coaches, play more players in the months of November and December, pare down their rotations a little bit here, coming down the stretch of a season. For you guys, where are you in that process? Because it's been unique, because it's not like a year ago where you lost one major piece for a prolonged period of time and kind of learned how to play without that piece. You've almost had a different team in which to play with for the majority of your games.
Yeah, we are working through that process. That's a process, like you said, most years you work through that process in November and into December. And then, by the time you get around to the new year, you have a really good feeling about who your team is and what guys play well with what other guys, and what lineups you're trying to play more, and what lineups you're trying to avoid, and who you like in certain spots, and who you like in zone, and who you like, those things that the non-conference gives you an opportunity to tinker with and figure out. Unfortunately, with all the injuries that we had, we haven't had a lot of time to do that. And so there have been some moments here in these first 3 games where, we've been trying to figure out, hey, we've got some really talented players. How are we going to be able to get all of them the minutes that they need so that we can have the best team that we can have? Because at the end of the day, we're trying to make those decisions. I'm trying to make those decisions. Our staff's trying to make those decisions so that we can give ourselves the best chance to win. And the depth that we have can be a huge advantage for us, because we have, 8, 9, 10 guys that I feel like could all score double digits in a college game, right? And so if we can get all those guys enough time and playing in the right groups and against the right guys, I think it can give us a distinct advantage. But we also have to, grow through that a little bit. And that's not fun. That pain of that growth has not been fun. And so, the players have been great in their willingness to accept that, hey, tonight might not be my night. Tonight, this other guy who plays the same position me is playing really well. I got to let him go, and I'm going to cheer him on, and I'm going to be a great teammate while that's happening. And then when I get my chance, I'm going to do the best I can. And so, we're working through it. I feel like, we're getting closer to being the team that we want to be, that at the end of the day, that's what we're striving to do. We're striving to put together, a group for 40 minutes that can be as, good as possible. And that's not 5 guys. That's not 15 guys, right? It's 7, 8, 9 guys probably somewhere in there that are playing the majority of the minutes, and just figuring out who those guys are and who can handle it the best. And, it's certainly a process, and one I wish we had already figured out. And, it's certainly not fun to not play your best, and we need to play better regardless of who's on the floor in some of these games. And so we're getting there. It's one day at a time. It's practice, it's games, and figuring that out.
It feels like a long time ago. That it was about a week ago that you guys had a great second half in your win here at home against Iona. Iona is, throughout the history of this league been, really the standard of the league here in the last decade or so. The thing that stood out to me in that game was the physicality that you guys brought to the table in the second half. And then not only that in a defensive perspective, but your ability to score at the rim. Because many times in non-conference play against the high majors, there were a lot of three balls flying, and three-point shooting was very predicative of how the Mount would do in a game. But against Iona, it was more about your ability to really take it to them and take it to the iron.
Yeah, the team that we built has a distinct advantage inside, in MAC play.
Yep.
And so that's an advantage we have to press. And, for us to be a great team, we've got to be a team that offensively plays with force, right? Plays attacking basketball. And whether that means we collapse the defense and there's five guys trying to defend the paint and we can kick it out for wide open threes, great. Mm-hmm. Or it means that we have, size and strength advantages around the basket and we can go score there, great. But we have to play with force. And I thought against Iona and parts of the other two games too in the league, we've played with more force on the offensive end and attacked the rim for guys to score, for guys to share the ball. And then we were able to play in that game with physicality on the defense end without fouling, mm-hmm. right? And that's a learned skill, right? Everybody, we are not officials in practice. We don't have any trained, paid referees. And so we are trying our best to teach our guys, mm-hmm. what is going to be a foul and what's not going to be a foul. But every game, it's a little bit different, right? The refs are really good in this league, and but every game is a little bit different. And so we have to do a good job of figuring out how physical can I be legally, and what is a foul in this game versus what is a foul in the next game or the previous game. And so I thought in the Iona game, we really managed that really well. We figured out how much we could touch, how much we could put hands on people when we could, when we couldn't. And then we were able to pressure as much as we could without walking them to the free throw line, right? Unfortunately, you play again the next two games and, we get them in the bonus. We don't make that adjustment quick enough. And, that's something that we have to work on with our guys to understand of, hey, yes, we want to be a physical, attacking defensive team, but not to the point where we're walking teams to the free throw line, right? You can't just gift wrap points for people at the line. And so again, it comes with some of this experience that we're getting. We're learning lessons. It's much more fun to learn the lesson when you win. Yeah. It's also a lot harder to learn the lesson.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When you win games, a lot of times coach, I'll stand up there after the game and we'll watch film and say, look at how bad we did in this play. And players go, yeah, okay, coach. But we still won. Right. We still won. But when you lose, everybody's antennas up, and we can learn some of those lessons that hopefully, will play a huge role in our success down the road.
In the game against Merrimack, you had a player, Trey DeVoe, come off the bench and score 23 points. So that kind of goes to your point of anybody. And Trey's a player that has had big-time scoring outputs throughout his collegiate career. But there aren't too many teams in college basketball that go to their bench and could get a scoring output like that. So how nice was that to see that breakout game? And watching that game, it almost felt like he could have even done more. I mean, it would just
He'll tell you he could have. He'll tell you he could have done more. We have three starter forwards. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, we have three guys at the 4 and the 5 that are all good enough to start, with Luke and Justin and Trey. And each night, it's going to be a different guy mm-hmm. who's really dominant for us. And the other two, or maybe it's two are great and one of them is having a little bit less, whatever. They've done a great job so far of being able to say, okay, hey, today that game was Trey's game. Justin didn't play quite as much, right? But he was still effective in his minutes, and then, Luke was playing down low. But, those guys have done a great job at saying, okay, hey, this kid's rolling today. I'm going to do my best that I can in my minutes. And when he's out there and he's playing well, hey, man, I'm going to cheer him on. I'm going to be a great teammate, even though, it's not me personally. At the end of the day, we're trying to make sure the Mount scores on offense and the Mount gets a stop on defense. And so, that's a huge advantage for us. And because they're all really talented, but they're all very different in how they play.
Lastly, we're about to talk to AK Kébé here, and he is really an impressive young kid, is he not? And Kébé was injured to start this year. He's one of the players that has come back. He gives you guys a very unique defensive weapon in his ability to guard so many different positions on the court. But he's more than just a defensive player this year, is he not?
Yeah, AK really, really worked from the time the season ended till the day he got hurt.
Yep.
And really expanding who he was as a player. And the thing that impressed me the most was while he was becoming a more versatile offensive player, his focus was defense and rebounding. And when you have a big wing like that who's focused on defending and rebounding, he's going to score, right? He's a talented player. He knows how to score, but he's such, like you said, a weapon defensively. He can guard the other team's point guard. He can guard the other team's best player with great length and quickness. And make it really difficult for them. There's not a lot of 6'7", 6'8" guys that can guard point guards and 94 feet and not get beat. And so he provides a weapon there. And then he's able to use that focus, and then to allow him to kind of be clear and free to play offense. Offense, I was taught when I was very young that when you think, you stink. On offense, when you're worried about offense, when you're thinking about your shot, when, that's when you don't play well. Mm-hmm. But if you, like AK's doing, you focus on your defense, you focus on rebounding, you find other areas to impact the game, then you're free to play offense and let your talent and the work you put in shine. And I think since he's been back, it was a little bit of adjustment those first couple of games. And then, since then, he's really had a great level of focus on those things that really he can do that nobody else can do, right?
Yeah.
There's very few human beings alive that can do what he can do defensively and with his length and athleticism. And so when he's focused on those things, which he's been the majority of the time this year, he's a really good player for us and a really unique weapon.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be talking with AK right after this.
The time has come. The steak and cheese sandwich is back at Roy Rogers. Savory or spicy, make it yours with your favorite fixins. Go big and upgrade to a large drink and holster fry for the full cowboy experience. Get it while you can. Steak and cheese is here for a limited time only. See you soon at Roy Rogers.
We welcome you back here to the Donny Lind Show, presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. My name is Adam Pohl, joined by second-year Mount Guard, AK Kébé, and thank you so much for taking the time today to be with us. We want to talk about a lot of things, but first of all is that you are from the country of Senegal. And AK, how did you end up getting into basketball?
First of all, thank you for talking to me. I started basketball pretty late. I was like 13, and my dad always told me I was gonna get tall because he's kind of my height.
Yeah.
So he just kept introducing me to basketball. But I was playing soccer the whole time, and then I grew up having most of my friends just playing basketball, and I just was talking trash to one of them. I ended up going to the court playing one-on-one, and I don't remember going back to the soccer field.
That's pretty remarkable. In the country of Senegal, though, how much bigger is the sport of soccer than everything else?
Every kid in Senegal just grew up playing soccer. So because you can play soccer anywhere, you can just make a field of anywhere, like in your house, outside. But it's a lot harder to find the resources to just make a basketball court for people just to go. So you just grow up playing soccer.
I think quickness, speed, agility, footwork is so important in the game of basketball. Do you think playing soccer a lot as a kid has helped you as a basketball player?
Of course, because I was a little taller than the average. So just playing like them, it just helped me run, just be able to move, just having an advantage over the people my height.
Now, AK was talking about the fact that not many, that soccer is the dominant sport in Senegal. Well, we had a game here this year. You have another Senegalese player in Yakia Diop here on the Mount. We have a Senegalese assistant coach, of course. But when the Mount played Sacred Heart in the MAC opener, 4 of the players in the game were from Senegal, but not just from Senegal, right?
Yep, not from Senegal only. We all pretty much come from the same place at Seed Academy. So it was just seeing my friends, playing against my friends.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna also say we had an advantage because we knew them. We just knew each other, so it was pretty fun. Just like 4 kids just coming from the same place, seeing each other again and playing at a bigger stage is just our joy.
Now, being in the DC Baltimore area here, it's one thing to feel that if you're from this area, right? We have some of our Mount players are from this area, but to be from so far away and to have gone to this academy, put in all the work, and now see so many of your friends thriving here at the Division I level in the United States, how cool is that?
I'm just feeling blessed. We are just blessed and just proud to see each other just represent any team just at a higher level and just represent our country too.
It's hard to start playing basketball at the age of 13 and be a Division I basketball player. Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, so many people in the United States, they kind of think they're going to be a Division I basketball player and don't reach this level. For you, the growth has been very, very evident. Now you're in your sophomore season. What do you think in your game has improved the most since you stepped on this campus a year and a half ago?
I think I'm going to say my motor. I was being a high energy player, but Coach Lind always told me if I want to make it to a bigger level, a higher level, I got to just be like the hardest player on the court. And it's going to translate to anything, just everything. Everything else just comes along with that. And my work ethic.
What was it like to be a part of last year's championship team, to feel the energy here at Knott Arena, to be that team was obviously extremely close as well. It had to be a great introduction to college basketball.
Yeah, he was actually, because since like the first game, I was very surprised to see that almost all our games are pretty packed. Students, just people from Emmitsburg, just always here cheering for us, and we do appreciate that a lot, and that helps us win games, obviously.
No doubt about it. For yourself this year, you did have an injury in the offseason. Trying to build yourself into the year can be tricky when you're out for a large period coming into the season. What has that been like for you?
I'm going to say he's just been trust. From the minute I got injured, my coaches always told me, like, it's a blessing in disguise. You just got to, like, trust God's plan. I might get hurt, but there's a lot of things I can keep getting better at. Can go to the weight room, just work on my left hand. I broke my right hand, and just like trust the process.
Lastly, it can be so tough for international players around this break period time of year, right? When students aren't on campus, many of your teammates are able to go home for periods of time. How have you been doing, with that? Because I know it's very tough because, home is in another country.
Yeah. Actually, it was. I think I'm doing pretty good because I have CD here. Obviously, sometimes he might not be here, and it's better this year again because Yahya with me. So it just feels like I'm still at home. I'm being here 2 years now, and I'm pretty fortunate. I got one of my best friends that lives in Baltimore, so anytime I just want to see him, we just want to see each other again. We can just catch up, and yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun.
That's great. Well, AK, we wish you all the best as you continue along here in your sophomore season and hopefully get on a big run here with the Mount.
Appreciate you, man.
That's AK Kébé. We're going to take a quick break. We return with more. We're going to look forward towards this upcoming week of basketball as the Mount hosts St. Peter's and Siena here at Knott Arena. Welcome back to the Donny Lind Show. My name is Adam Pohl, joined by Coach Lind, here presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. Well, it's a big week here up ahead, up ahead of us because you're at home and you have played. When you look at the standings in the MAC, 4 of your 5 games previous have been against teams that are really right at the top of the league. This week will be no different. St. Peter's coming off of a tough season. They are obviously, this is a battle of the last 2 MAC champions. And St. Peter's is 4-0 coming into today's play, or this week's play. And then Siena, a team predicted to be one of the top teams in the MAC. They've gotten off to a winning start as well. The schedule is going to change a little bit going forward, but this is a huge opportunity, being at home, playing against teams that are near the top of the ledger it's a big spot for them out this week.
Yeah, absolutely. You get into conference play and, you play against good teams, right? I mean, there's no days on the schedule that you think, okay, yeah, all right, we can check this one off. We can just show up. There's none of that. But when you play teams that are ranked up at the top of the league, everybody's antennas are up. Everybody wants to protect the home floor and play well in front of our friends and family and people who come to these games. But also we have such a great home court advantage. We have a great crowd that comes night in and night out, students, no students, the fans of Mount basketball come out to support these guys and our players feel that, and they feed off that energy. And so it's exciting to get back at it, see if we can bounce back from the previous weekend on the road and, be ready to play physical, tough Mount basketball.
No doubt about it. And it's interesting because St. Peter's as an opponent is known for that similar kind of brand of basketball. So matching that physicality is going to be big on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, toughness wins at the end of the day. If you want to win in college basketball, you got to be a tough-minded, tough physically, mentally, emotionally team. And St. Peter's has proven that over and over. Coach Mason does a great job at getting those guys, his teams, whether it was when we played him at Wagner back when we were here the first time, or obviously now, like, his team is going to be tough. They're going to be physical. They're going to play in a way that, takes advantage of that advantage that they have of being that type of team. And so, for us, we've tried to build a team that is that same way, right? That has a tough mind, a physical toughness, and an ability to handle things emotionally and respond in a tough way. And so it'll certainly be a battle. I don't know how pretty it's going to be, right? When we play St. Peter's, it's rarely a pretty game. It'll be physical. It'll be tough. But I think we'll be ready. Our players are certainly happy to be back home. Some friendly rims, hopefully we can bomb a few in, and hopefully we can put ourselves in a great position to protect our home court.
Friday night is a 7 p.m. tip. It is our military appreciation night. So you can get a half-price ticket if you are currently in the military or a veteran when you purchase at the box office the night of the game. Sunday is going to be a 2:00 game, and it's always a lot of fun, on the weekends here. But this quick turnaround, you guys did a lot in your scheduling leading up to trying to mimic this. Obviously, you had a road aspect of it last week as well, but it's nice to be able to play a Friday night and then a Sunday afternoon at home. It felt like last year that didn't happen at all. It was always a Friday night on the road and a Sunday at home, or vice versa. But it's nice to be at home for this 2-game stretch.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, we can do well Friday night and then have the maximum ability to recover. Right, that's what it comes down to. That Saturday is, can we physically recover, get ourselves mentally prepared on Saturday for the next game. We'll do some physically, but on that Saturday, it's a way more of a mental day. We've got to mentally prepare and make sure we know what's coming and how we want to attack on both sides of the ball. And then, again, be able to sleep in your own bed and recover and get yourself ready to play on Sunday afternoon and against a really good Siena team, who, has proven in the non-conference to be one of the better teams in the league. And so it'll be, it's a weekend where, we'll find out a lot of, what we're made of and how we respond, right? There's a lot of things that I like to try to teach our players about life more than basketball, and if you're going to play here. But the ability to respond to adversity is probably the biggest one, because that's going to allow these guys to be successful well beyond their basketball career. And so we faced some adversity here, right? This last weekend obviously didn't go the way none of us wanted it to go. And, to see these guys and how they respond in practice, and then how that response carries over to the game, and then how that response carries over throughout the game. When things go well, things don't go well in the game, how do we respond? And I think we've really done a lot of work to train a championship level response. And it'll be fun to see these guys and the way that they perform this weekend and how that response is tested.
All right, Coach Lind, thank you so much for the time here today.
Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it.
That is the Donny Lind Show, presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. We hope to see you at Knott Arena here this weekend. Again, Friday night at 7 against St. Peter's, Sunday afternoon at 2 against Siena. Get those tickets at mountathletics.com. Have a great day, everyone.